president loses more Americans over the course of 6 weeks than died in the entirety of the Vietnam War, does he deserve to be reelected?
That was Olivia Nuzzi, America, or Nuzzi. I don't know how to say her name. She's with New York Magazine, 29-year-old reporter. I am joined by United States Senator Tom Cotton. Senator Cotton, I think that kind of question, unwittingly, unknowingly, plays right into the hands of the Communist Chinese Party of the PRC by opening up lines of attack on America that have nothing to do with the origin and spread of this virus.
Yeah, Hugh, I wonder what she and other reporters in the media would be saying if you substituted Russia for China. There's a big report in the New York Times just last week that China was using a lot of the same techniques to foment division and panic about this virus that Russia had used in the election in 2016. Yet I didn't see the pundits on CNN and MSNBC setting their hair on fire about China, China, China. If anything, they were apologizing for Chinese behavior.
Now, I have a sign now on my call screen, Senator. It has one statement and two questions. The statement is, in a bow to James Carville, it's the Chinese Communist Party, stupid. And the two questions are free market capitalism or socialism and Trump's energy and team or Biden's cluelessness and lethargy. Am I sufficiently prepared for the 6 months ahead?
Those are, I think, all pretty central themes, Hugh, that we're going to see in the campaign ahead. In particular, the fight to come between China and the United States for who will lead the civilized world. This virus originated in China. Some reports suggest that we could have seen anywhere from 65 to 90% fewer cases in China. So imagine what that would mean worldwide, if not for their closed authoritarian communist dictatorship. Joe Biden, regrettably, has been one of the worst politicians on China going back 50 years. Just last year, he said they weren't even a competitor of ours. I don't know many Americans who view it in those terms.
Now, Senator, Phase 4 is coming up. I think it will be the most significant legislative debate probably of your career, and I expect your career to go a long time. I think it's almost Federalist Papers quality debate about what is required of the states, what the federal government does for the states, what strings, if any, are attached. How are you approaching this debate? Leader McConnell kicked it off last week on this show. What Senator Cotton think about the framing of it?
Yeah, I know that his comments got a lot of attention, but I think the only point about aiding states and cities who have been hit so hard by coronavirus is we want to make sure we're using your tax dollars to support response to the virus, whether it's supporting our hospitals, our first responders, or others who have had significant economic harm to their communities because of the virus. We don't want to use your tax dollars in the middle of a pandemic to float bad fiscal practices that existed long before this virus hit. And that's not even a Democratic or Republican divide. There are some states that are Democratic, some that are Republican, that were in pretty bad shape 6 months ago. We just want to make sure that federal tax dollars are supporting a response to the virus. But as you say, it's going to be about a lot more than just state and local aid. For instance, I would like to include my legislation that would help bring pharmaceutical manufacturing back from China and do so as rapidly as possible. So I think you'll see other measures designed to counteract China and also reduce our dependence on China in any future legislation.
I just had Secretary Briette on. I think this legislation ought to configure America's nuclear power industry as preeminent and at home and safe from overbearing CCP policies and penetration of foreign markets. Do you think there'll be room in this bill for that?
I hope so. And let's think about nuclear power in two different ways, Hugh. Let's think about its civilian uses and how much we depend on it here, how much more we should depend on it here, and what it means for reliable, stable electricity coming to our homes and businesses. Imagine how much worse this pandemic would have been if a significant part of our country had suffered a foreign-sponsored cyber attack on our electrical grid. But second, let's look at the military dimension of it as well. The fact that our nuclear deterrent is what has kept us safe and prevented major war between great powers for 75 years now, and the urgent need to continue the modernization of our nuclear forces, as well as to recognize the coronavirus has affected our defense industrial base. You don't hear about it as much the way you hear about meat processing plants, for instance, because it's not consumer facing. But there is going to be a pretty significant hole in the military's budget because these factories have had to shut down, just like so many other factories had. Those are all urgent priorities.
I hope you fill that. We got a minute left, Senator Cotton. How long and how public will this debate over Phase 4 be?
I don't know, Hugh, in part because I don't know, the course of the last 3 or 4 bills that we've passed will be. One point that Senator McConnell's made, that others have made, is we have a lot of programs that are still just standing up, and we want to see the effect of it. We also, of course, want to see how states that have done a pretty good job of keeping the virus under control and are opening back up do in terms of maintaining that and continuing the forward momentum to getting people back to work, back to their normal routines, and getting the economy back on its feet. But Congress will be in session on May 4th, and I'm of the opinion, as Senator McConnell, that we've got to get our work done just like all those critical workers all around the country.
And I'm of the opinion, if you were early to the bell, as Senator Cotton was in sounding the alarm on the virus and the CCP, then you ought to be first to speak, and people ought to listen very closely. Senator Cotton will therefore be first in line because he was first to the bell. Senator Cotton, thank you.